All right, so welcome everyone to today's roundtable on emerging technologies and unveiling the future. I'm Tracy Rices, your moderator, and I'm thrilled to guide us through this discussion. Today, we've convened a panel of experts that will be delving into a topic that we're all very interested in, and that's reshaping many industries. The world, as you know, is undergoing an unprecedented evolution, and it's fueled by many different technologies and synergies between them, artificial intelligence and cloud infrastructure being among them. These two transformative technologies are not only enablers, but they're also empowering and catalyzing a new era that transcends traditional boundaries, paving the way for groundbreaking innovations, disruptions, and transformations. So today we'll be exploring that topic. But before we begin, I do want to introduce each of the panelists, and I welcome them actually to introduce themselves. So let's start in alphabetical order and by first name, and let's start with Aditi.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me. My name is Aditi Jain. I work as a VP of Cloud in Amdocs, which is a product-led system integrator, and we serve both telecommunication and financial services industry. I've worked for 20 years. I've worked for 20 years in the financial services market, helping our customers enable their digital transformation journeys through cloud, through AI, through risk management, and all the other attributes. So I'm very happy to join this panel and share my expertise.
Thank you. Welcome. All right, I think Dia, you're next.
Good. It's morning, right? Good morning or greetings to everyone. I'm Dia Nguyen. My pronouns are she and her, and I am delighted to have the opportunity to share the stage and this conversation with the other participants today. I actually have the privilege of having led work in responsible AI since 2020, working globally with organizations, helping them to understand the potential risks as well as benefit of AI. But how do we address those risks? How do we unpack and address areas of unintended impact and making sure that AI is actually benefiting us all, as well as, having a benefit to the organization. So when we think about leveraging AI in ways to scale or improve operational efficiencies or tap into new innovative products or competitive advantage, the way in which to ensure that we can do that is to make sure that we're building technology that is trusted with AI. I've been in a technologist for over 25 years, and this is not only an area of work in my day job, but also an area of passion. And I enjoy the opportunity to share with you all today and to learn.
Thank you and welcome. Valeria.
Thank you so much. First of all, thank you all for being here today. It's really exciting to have a roundtable of experts and talk and have a discussion on such an emerging topic. My name is Valeria Sadovic. I serve as a technology strategist at Microsoft. I mainly focus on the deployment of emerging tech such as cloud, data analytics, AI, intelligent automation into different type of organizations. Prior to Microsoft, I spent a decade at PricewaterhouseCoopers focusing on digital transformation programs of work, where once again, I was focusing on intelligent automation, AI implementation, and responsible AI practices. The responsible AI practices is a topic of mine and is such a big part of my life because I spent also about 11 years at the university. I have a PhD from the University of Auckland, New Zealand, where I focus on the human decision-making and responsible AI practices. And I'm trying to identify how technology influencing the human decision-making. So I still contribute into the academia, and I still contribute into media articles as well on the subjects such as responsible AI, technology implementation, impacts on the humanity, and also impacts on the business practices. And I'm excited to be here. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And then Xiaochen.
Yeah, my name is Xiaochen Zhang, and I'm the CEO of FinTech for Good, and also the executive director of AI 2030. And AI 2030, our goal is trying to mainstream responsible AI, and we work with many of you who are in this room, and trying to just really empower individuals, startup business to take on responsible AI-related action and make sure that not only AI can benefit humans, but also mitigate or minimize the potential risk. Thank you for being here.
All right. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for being here. I'm really excited about this discussion. Now, all of us have some level of combination of AI and cloud in our backgrounds. Given the dynamic synergy between the two that I mentioned before, what recent innovations, key challenges, and opportunities stand out for you in this space?
I can go first.
Okay.
Cloud and AI are definitely natural partners. It helps that AI is a catalyst for a lot of the cloud enablement now. In my mind, and when I consult my clients, I tell them cloud is the way to scale and have your resources on demand, and AI is the solution that requires those capabilities. So you have to have the scalability, the computational, the data usage or storage that AI needs, because AI requires a ton of intensive resources. It requires massive data sets, and cloud computing can enable that infrastructure, the backend, the support that AI needs. And then when we talk about AI, the first thing that comes to mind is innovation, right? So innovation is a cornerstone for all business growth, but without cloud computing, you cannot innovate efficiently. You cannot have your resources on demand. You cannot have them at fingertip. And then the other thing that comes to mind is customer experience. You want a virtual assistant or a chatbot to help your clients with AI-enabled solutions to help them have hyper-personalized experiences. But cloud computing provides those resources for generating enhanced customer experiences. So they allow for reliable and more effective customer engagement. So I feel cloud computing and AI go hand in hand very well.
Anyone else wants to follow up with that?
I definitely agree in terms of this is a two mutually exclusive kind of items that now going with every single business. I will touch base a bit on the challenges, right? I think one of the main challenges that we're facing is the data privacy and security, because AI requires enormous amount of data, and those data are not necessarily always bias-free, not always filtered properly, and that creates lots of loopholes for different type of organization to actually mislead and as well as reach into the infrastructure. The second challenge that people face is the ethical AI implementation. That's in terms of how do we follow the right processes, what type of processes should be in place. Quite a few kind of organization, businesses, people are confused. What is the regulations? What is the compliance? What is the difference? What are the risk factors? There is lots of educations needs to be put in place. And the third one, in my opinion, that not that many people talking is the abundance of AI technology and how we can seamlessly integrate those AI technologies together with the cloud. Now we're using multi-cloud, we use lots of AI integrations, we have lots of AI plugins, however, not all of them easily integrated. So that's lots of infrastructure issues, infrastructure costs that also comes into the place.
Yeah, I want to just touch on a couple of things and echo what was already said. I think that, prior to my work specifically around AI and helping organizations think about the impact and the ways in which they should leverage AI responsibly, I used to work on digital transformation and cloud transformation, much like some of our panelists. And One of the things that we talked about with the cloud was not just thinking that we would, lift and shift or move certain technology or our systems and applications from one environment to the other, but that we wanted to do so in a way that allowed us to think about people, process, and, the other technology adjustments that needed to be made. And so I think about AI much with that sort of lens, right? How do we consider, and when we talk about challenges, some of the challenges around our people, right? What impact does AI have relative to the people that are going to be leveraging it or those other stakeholders that may have to use the technology or would be subject to it as a result of its use in society? What does that mean for our processes, the way in which we need to adjust our organizations to be able to best leverage it in ways that are going to benefit the organization, their ultimate mission? But then also, like, what other tools and technology? And we were just hearing some examples of like things that we have to think about from a privacy perspective or security, and how do we leverage AI in ways to help better our posture in those areas. And so I think that while we think about cloud, understanding that we need to be thinking about this holistically, just like we did in the cloud conversation, we just don't move things. We just don't take technology and put it over here and think that that's optimized for the environment, and that it requires much more than just just the technology, but looking at this holistically in order to truly benefit. And I think that's part of what we need to be considering, or that is the way that we need to consider adopting AI in greater scale and looking at it holistically and making sure that we're considering all areas of our culture, people, process, and technology in order to leverage it well. The other thing that I would say is that, we talk about democratizing AI, or you'll hear people even talk about that in the context of the cloud. And I think like cloud offers a great bit for us, for organizations to be able to have greater access to the technology, have access to the kind of data and systems and infrastructure that supports their leveraging AI, and then also having access to the kinds of tools for development and to ensure that you have the kind of safe, secure, inclusive systems that you can build. And all of that is being afforded us in a lot of our cloud platforms today as well.
Yeah, from my side, that's I will just add a few things. I fully agree with all the three other speakers, and I want to just go from the other end. Number one is, of course, that many of the AI application need to be enabled by cloud, but it's not cloud is allowed in all countries for all organizations. And then I think one dimension that I want to bring is that from the AI inclusive AI development or opportunity side, that's how to enable those organizations who just from no matter from the law or from the and then they are in the near term cannot adopt cloud and other ways to enable them still can benefit from the AI related innovation or opportunity. That is one dimension. The other is that it is critical that for any AI related innovation, where that's looking at your operational excellence, and many times that's really related to the cloud operational excellence. And many organizations, they are excited about AI. They want to just adopt AI now, but then actually that's just really related to their whole broader cloud related strategy. And that was not in place when they just use AI or other emerging technology, and then that becoming problematic. And then they try to address that specific need or problem. But again, that go back because that's a cloud-related operational excellence pillar was not being built properly, and finally that problem cannot be addressed properly. And then there's a lot of homework to be done before you can really just combine the two to really realize the superpower of AI plus cloud. Yeah.
That's a great segue to my next question. So in this current landscape, we see many companies adopting emerging technologies like generative AI. How can organizations leverage these innovations and the cloud responsibly? How can organizations strategically ensure accountability and deployment of these technologies and addressing specific risks?
I might go first this time. I think one of the things, the main foundation is actually the alignment of the organizational strategy and focus in the use case. Not that many of us, we talk about a lot about technology, how we try to make it better and faster, but we kind of forgot to start talking about, hey, what is our stakeholder management? What is our change management procedures, right? So the soft factors is really important. What is actually our use case? What is our business focus? Where are we going? What are we trying to achieve? And then I think after that, we should be going down the ladder and decide on the factors, what type of AI, what type of cloud, what type of, as well as a use case, what are we trying to solve? We have, again, so much abundance of technology, so much abundance of AI, and just plug it in because now it's needed, it's required, correct. But however, it also needs to be implemented in a smart way.
And
Yeah.
oh, go ahead, Aditi.
No. Okay, thank you. I will echo what Valerie just said, but also add on that we need to take consideration across all people, process, and technology elements. And the fact that it starts with the culture of the organization. You got to have that culture of vigilance and learning. It's a new revolution that every organization is grappling with, and it is about staying consistent with your risk management practice that you already had before AI took over, but improving on what you already learned. So for example, machine learning and AI are not new for financial services industry. That's the industry that I align with, so I can talk to it. Model risk management for a lot of these machine learning models existed since 2000 from the Office of Controller in the financial services industry, the regulator itself. And the model risk management allow for you to document and validate the models on a continual basis and report it out to the regulators, right? So what generative AI can do is to improve and learn from that same principle and improve the governance, improve the culture of vigilance. And for the people aspect, the learning is important. Having the culture of providing the skills and upskilling your workforce, not only to learn the new technologies, but to engage with the messaging, with the intentions of the organization. Like Valerie said, what are you doing for the strategy of the organization as it relates to generative AI? How do you want to deploy it? So that people aspect comes into play, where people have a growth mindset. They want to learn, they want to adapt, they want to learn from their challenges, and they are engaged because you have a message that resonates with them. And from the process side, it comes out to be in terms of governance and policies and procedures. How do you govern with an AI ethics officer in place? How do you make that message clear to everyone that responsible AI is the way to move forward? That we don't want to just discount the risk. So we had the risk of bias, we had the risk of explainability, but now with generative AI, we have new risks that we have to manage, like hallucinations, like data provenance, like the ownership of output, right? So there are new and emerging risks. How do we incorporate that into our governance structure? How do we create the processes around policies and procedures to make sure we have effective risk management in place? Thank you.
I want to double click on something that Valeria has mentioned, and she was talking about strategy. And I think one of the things that are critical as we talk about how do we, sort of adopt generative AI or any AI for that matter, is actually starting at a point where we consider what is the organizational strategy and how AI, because AI is a tool, right, that is going to help achieve a business objective, but we need to start there, right? And so strategy and the commitment of leadership, I think, is critical to ensure that we are building in responsible ways. Now, I know that this may be contrary, and again, I'm a technologist, so I'm not against technology, but I think that there is a notion, especially since we've been watching things unfold recently, that everybody should be using generative AI. Well, I'm not sure that everybody should. I don't know that it's the tool for every job, right? And so if we go back to sort of strategically looking at what are we seeking to achieve, and then aligning that way what technology is best going to support our goals. Now, yes, automation I think is great, and we can see areas where we are gaining greater operational efficiencies. It helps us to be productive in certain areas, but there are others, perhaps like where we don't have sufficient data that's going to allow or ensure that we will have the kind of representation necessary to be able to generalize results or to see the best outcomes for all people, that it may not be a technology that we should be using in that particular case. And so this notion of understanding strategy, aligning the technology, this tool, along with the strategy and making sure that it makes sense as something to leverage in that particular case is one of the things that I think is critical. And the other is leadership, management and ownership of, as Aditi said, driving a culture of responsibility. So if we're stating that this is our strategy and we now have leadership alignment and they're helping to drive that, this is something that should not be happening from the bottom up. I know developers that are interested, that are they're individuals, and we've been doing this in some ways, building tiger teams and other groups that are, championing the conversation. But in order to truly drive the kind of organizational change that is necessary to support responsible AI practices across the organization, it needs to be strategic. It needs to be coming as part of the strategy and driven down from leadership as well. And I think those are two critical parts to help ensure that we have the sort of responsible practices and structure in the organization to support responsible innovation.
Yeah,
Thank
from my
you.
side, I think that there are a different layer of how this can or should be seen. One is at your customer level, where that's by the end of the day, that's you want to just use AI to just transform your customer journey and support them, help them. But on the other hand, you also understand that AI may just create negative impact to your customers, and so understand that risk is related to your customer, and then support them and then provide alternative way how that's their journey can be just optimized, and the risk associated to customer experience can be addressed. That's important. Then also from the competitiveness of your own company, where that's a lot of companies take on AI is because of they want to be remain being competitive. The biggest risk for a company is not to taking any action around AI, and then they have to, when you just already be pushed to, you have to do that. Naturally, that's there are other areas which you may not just look into now, and then that actually in the long term can potentially just generate or create a negative impact to your long-term growth or competitiveness. That's to the company. The third level is really looking at the compliance side, especially if you are under the regulated industry, where that's applying AI or deploy AI or use of AI have to be just comply, and then you have the existing compliance system, but there are also new rising rules and laws, and which just take an approach which is in the sense that can be really very adaptive, and where even the new law, new rules are going to just be introduced. Now you don't have it, and then that adaptive approach can help you to just meet the regulatory evolution. Last but not least is the societal impact. That's more broader, where that's your especially I think there each company have a different role, and then that's here I want to just focus on for example the infrastructure provider, where that's the AI side you have a different type of role, because many other non-infrastructure provider who just are apply AI, but from the fundamental infrastructure provider, then it's provide the fundamental large language models, and then the infrastructure provide provision for the AI potential application there. That's how to just have a responsible AI practice, and which just have this fundamental level, provide that safety and the security, and also other responsible AI related pillars is really critical.
Okay. Moving on to the future. So there's going to be an impact on jobs. There's obviously a lot of benefits, a lot of opportunities. There's some challenges as well, but there's also going to be an impact on the jobs of the future. What steps can we take to prepare for this future world where jobs will be impacted? And I'm thinking in terms of both on the employer side and the employee side, because it's really two-part.
Yeah, from the employee side, I would think that everyone's excited about the potential of AI and what it can do for uplifting their skills. Of course, there is fear, there is insecurity about what it'll do to their jobs as well. But when I talk to clients and when I coach my teams at the current job, we talk about how you can improve the skills. It's not just the technical skills on learning AI, data analytics, cloud computing. It's about the more broader leadership and emotional intelligence type of skills that we need to over-rotate on when we think about AI. This is a field where strategic thinkers, where creative and critical thinkers, where problem solvers, where emotionally intelligent people are sought and sorted. And I feel that is where we all can think about when we teach the young generation or teach the children to have a growth mindset. I touched on it earlier. This is an opportunity for employees as well as professionals to think about what they can learn, quickly adapt to learn the technical skills, but how can they mold themselves to take on the challenges and to learn the new or adapt to the new working environment quickly and seek opportunities to grow and get better in their current role with AI. Don't think AI as a deterrent or as a foe. Think of it as a friend that can help you automate, that can help you get better in your current skill set, that can help you become a leader and coach others to become better in their skill set. I'll take an example. So in technology, and I work for technology consulting for a long time, there are the application development that needs to be done for AI solutions. So as a developer, you would use Copilot or you would use other AI assistants to help you to write a chunk of your code, which is a lot of the code that is written is very labor intensive. So you can use Copilot and other such assistants to help you accelerate your code development. And that helps with productivity. It helps to make you more efficient. It helps you debug your code. In a way, adopt the change and take the ownership to become more of a growth mindset a professional and benefit from the revolution.
I want to share something because I think there's an interesting perspective here as well. Like I talked to a number of companies, and at the executive level, organizations are certainly excited about the opportunity that AI brings. And I think both Aditi and Valeria mentioned this, like the importance of, having some degree of education, and that being essential when we think about upskilling and work-skilling our workforce. I think that very much like when we saw cloud and we had people in a data center whose job and responsibility was to maintain the data center, or had responsibility for a database that now was moving to some sort of elastic environment that they didn't understand how to manage, or that their role was no longer going to be needed. Those individuals were not excited about the technology. There were people that I remember going into companies who were very dogmatic and did not want to embrace the cloud, and thought, and were very firm. We even know probably some old COBOL developers and others, right, that stuck to their technology and weren't willing to, or weren't as eager to adapt to that. Or maybe they had spent so many years in their careers. And so this idea of shifting to something else was an area of fear or concern. And so I think that one is to recognize, and for us to, in our presentation of the way in which we're approaching and embracing technology, that we actually are empathetic and recognizing that there is impact, that some people are going to be lost or left behind. And what else do we need to do from an organizational perspective and in the public square or public sector and with government to make sure that we're doing enough to bring people along, that we actually have the kind of services and systems that are going to embrace people that may not adopt or adapt to AI, but can also find other pathways so that they still have opportunities for meaningful work and a way in which to be able to have a meaningful life. Because we're talking about life skills and ability for them to have jobs and take care of themselves. Like all of those things are waiting in the balance in terms of what AI and the shift in workforce has the potential to do. And so we again, as a technologist, yes, we want to make sure that we're training people and we're upskilling folks, but then we also have to think about, like, are there other places in which we can elevate skills that may not be as impacted by AI, or to give people other career trajectories and opportunities. And so one of those areas are in some of our, skills like that often have been downplayed, but are actually still critical and important. Like when we think about building homes and plumbing and et cetera, right? Like there is still a necessity, and those AI isn't going to like take care of the plumbing in your home or make sure that you have the carpentry that you needed. Now they will be enhanced by, and tools are being enhanced, but there's still some skills that we need to also elevate as being essential, because those are still going to be critical in the workforce of tomorrow when we look at what's happening in terms of the digital space. And the only reason why I bring that up is because I often get to talk about like upskilling and reskilling, but I know that there are people that will never embrace AI in the same ways. And we still need to have pathways for them to have meaningful and gainful employment.
Yeah, when it comes to, just to add to this, when it comes to Fortune 500 companies, I do see that the AI being, being practiced or being like tested in one or other way forms, right? There are two areas I could see very clearly. One is that the business efficiency, how fast we can reach out to the customers and how fast we can curate the leads, convert them into sales. The second area is on the operational efficiency, which means that is where there is a lot of overhead, by equipping the people or the employees, be it like a tech or non-tech. Leveraging AI can bring operational efficiency, which used to be like really hard for the large enterprises, right? Going back to answer the question, is this there is a scare in terms of like losing employment? When it comes to even CEO, I've seen like some of the companies, they have AI as a CEO. Like that is definitely scary. As you provide more decision-making functions to the tool or the AI bot, can it do? Like, absolutely it can. Like looking at various possibilities, it can. But when it comes to the ethical side of it, emotional side of it, it's still a long way to go. All right. On the employees side, the people who are going to adapt to this change, when we equip them, obviously they can gain the efficiency, be it like writing, responding to the customers, or even writing the code with the right exception handling, logging and whatnot, right? Which is definitely going to be good. But there are like sectors such as like Fortune 500 companies, mid-sized companies, and small enterprises. I see an adaptation or a willingness to take risk when it comes to Fortune 500 companies, as well as small enterprises, which is like mom and pop shops, who are like leveraging AI in order for the communication. It's like employing AI as an agent to support some of the work so that they can scale faster. Right. What we need to do is like ISO standards. There are certain standards that needs to be driven top down from, be it like a small company or a big one, strategically align it. Okay, these are the standards that needs to be adapted so that we do it right. That's my few viewpoints. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you,
Yeah.
Kenny. Just to follow on that, I think from my side there, I agree with Dia that number one thing is to recognize there are people, and people are being impacted differently, and within the organization, and for sure there will be naturally that there are group who benefit from it. Then there are a group that who potentially, if you just upskill yourself, and then you can potentially join the force. There are a group that naturally their job, their skill set, and then their situation is they are going to be negatively impacted. So then for them, that's naturally for as a company or organization, that's how to really recognize that, and then to address or help them. I think that is critical. And then when you just look at the company strategy side, that I have seen that many of the company just really developed a very interesting sequence of how this can be looked at. Number one is starting from redesign work, because by the end of the day, that's AI introducing new way and how the work can be done. So only the company know when you redesign the work, then that who are going to be impacted in which way, and then how you can empower each one of them. And after you just redesign the work, the nature of each person, so how does the future work look like for them, then you're able to just redesign your workforce. And there that's for this human machine collaborative intelligence, and how that look like, and then what will be your workforce look like. And then naturally someone need to be reskilled, and or others need to just you need to hire more, and others you need to just really just address them as how you can take care of them. Then the third piece is upscaling itself is really critical, and where that's leveraging both internal external resources, and then to help them to really meet the new challenge. I think that is really critical. And we'll leave some of the time by the end for the Q&A.
Yeah, we do have 2 raised hands, so I just want to give Valeria an opportunity to respond, and then we'll go to the raised hands.
I love the thoughts, I love the ideas, but I think I will remind everyone that we're living in a normal evolution time, right? It's totally normal what's happening, right? We're losing the job, we're getting the new skills, we're progressing. What's happened, we had it IPA, we had it manufacturing, we had it agriculture. It's a normal evolution process, and it's a survival skills. We're all in this environment. However, I do from the organizational perspective, and we're all in the technology world, and we quite often don't think about things like how the organization going to change their HR practices? How are they going to manage their digital workers? How are they going to manage their robots? Are they going to have kind of KPIs for the digital workers? And how are they going to be different from human workers? What are going to be the quotas, right? So I think those questions needs to be brought up. And unfortunately, there are not that many policies, regulations, and guidelines are still provided in this area. So this is currently considered as the gap, because we start having robots in our employee environment, right? But however, do they pay taxes? No, not necessarily they pay taxes. So how the economy is going to work? So I think this is also quite a big questions that needs to be uncovered and open up. But in terms of being scared of losing jobs, we are scared every day of losing a job. It doesn't matter in which position we are. That's normal. And for our sake, from the job environment, we might want to continuously upskill ourselves. But however, there are also quite a few dangers on the usage of AI in your personal life. So there are also some sort of considerations people should take in terms of the limitations of the AI tools in their work environment, and also in their personal life environment. So that's also something organizations should help to understand what is the amount of the AI tools is good enough, or is it too much?
Absolutely agree.
Can I just put something else in there? And I love what Valeria said, because she makes a point, right, that we've seen these kinds of technological advancement over time, right? These are 100 years more of kind of advancement, whether it's in the industrial age or any other that we've seen. There's been an opportunity for us to shift from one way of working and one way of doing and living to another, and we're embracing that. I think the one thing that I want to also elevate is that, the studies are showing that like AI and what's happening in terms of the transformation in AI is poised to be like one of the greatest to increase the wealth gap even greater than the internet did for certain communities, that we have greater risk for, marginalized communities to be even more disenfranchised with AI. So while we've seen periods like this before, where we see a shift and a change because of technological advancement, changing how we engage and interact in the world, I think we have an opportunity to be different than we have in the past and use some of our past, understanding of history and what's happened to hopefully position us better to equip others and use AI to level the playing field for communities, for individuals that have typically been marginalized or left aside.
Yeah, completely agree. And to all your points of that AI is a tool and you use the tool for the right reason, there are certain roles that shouldn't be using AI. And to that point, there was an article that I had to look it up. It's from July 2023, and it was published in Fortune. And it's an article by Guillaume Thierry. Sorry, I may probably mispronounce that, but the headline basically says, neuroscientist who studies how the brain learns information explains why AI would be the perfect psychopath in an executive role. And then the reason is a generative AI system may be highly intelligent, but it will lack emotion, empathy, and a moral compass. So again, the right tool for the right reason.
Yeah, just the last point. I mean, it lacks emotions and empathy now, but it's learning from humans. Don't you think that eventually it will learn our behavior too? So, I mean, it's getting better and better with every day. It's getting more efficient and more effective. We think that we are safe, that it does not understand emotions and the empathy. It does not understand it now because it does not have enough data, right? But sooner or later, it will start getting into our emotions and empathy too.
But will it really? That's an interesting point that you raise. So our emotions for us are intuitive. Would it be intuitive to this model that's emulating or copying and learning from us? Would it also learn the intuition?
That will learn from us, from our behavior. If we are good citizens, it will learn the good behavior. If we are bad citizens, it will learn the bad behavior.
So I think this is where we have an opportunity, right? This is where like the role of tech ethicists and those that are in responsible and trustworthy AI, there are certain places where we have to actually say hands off. Like there are some things that we want AI to do and others that we don't. And I think one of the things that we potentially are missing, while AI may be able to mimic emotion and use words that will make us think that it emotes and it feels. If we understand what emotion and feeling is, it does not. It will not. Now, it will use language. It will use words in order to, because it can master language quite well, in order to make us feel or to give the impression that it cares and it loves and it feels the way we do, but it does not, right? And there are going to be places where I think that we should be very realistic and say, in certain environments, just like you said, maybe we don't want it as a CEO. In certain use cases, that it's hands off, because there is a part in which we as human beings need human interaction, and we should still be making sure that we allow spaces for that, because that's actually one of the ways in which we thrive.
Okay, thank you. That was a great side conversation. All right, so we do have people who have raised hands. So I do want to give them an opportunity to make their points. I think Darius, you were up first.
Hi, thanks very much, and nice to be here. Sorry I joined late. And Xiaochen, great to see you. We've had discussions before about how institutions may not be able to keep pace with technology developments that are exogenous to their function. And I think a lot about how societies change, how civilizations face the risk of collapse, because I work in climate change and climate finance, climate risk analysis at a group inside WSP, an engineering and professional services firm based here in DC. It's great to hear these insights from Dia, Aditi, and Valeria. And I'm honored to be part of this discussion. I guess just a couple of points as food for thought as we go forward. First, on Dia's point, AI is not like an iPhone. It's not a bolt-on technology that makes shopping easier. It's something much more profound. I think of it, in a poor analogy, as an employee who's learning how to work in every department of our firms. If we thought of that kind of employee who's not only able to work in every department, but able to learn those jobs at differential rates and possibly displace workers in that department, it becomes a new kind of challenge that's different from sort of optimizing the ability of employees to use those new tools, and more like the kind of transformational change we've seen when one civilization encounters another. One can think of, I remember the quote, someone once said, "The future is our largest trading partner." It's as if the future is displacing the present and challenging employees and people, workers in the present at different rates and with different abilities. And thinking of it that way is a bit like the climate change transformation we're seeing in the economy, where workers in the fossil fuel industry are challenged by new entrants in green technologies who can displace demand for their services. And what we've learned in the climate environment is that you need to accommodate indigenous people who live in a forest, who might be generating carbon credits, or fossil fuel workers who are working in incumbent industries. You need to upfront the transition for them, not bolt on solutions after they've been displaced. So it's worth thinking about the pace of change and how we upfront those transitional accommodations before our own employees, colleagues, members of a community are displaced. The second point I want to make is something broader about society, in the sense that we are now living through this year an election that will affect more people. There are more people voting this year than have ever voted for their leadership in the history of humanity. And we've seen what happens in the United States when communities are disaffected, feel angry, don't have agency, and look for immediate solutions, and how that can affect the ability of institutions to respond with reasoned policy. We come up with good ideas, but we have to consider that the displacement of employees and their emotional reaction to their loss of agency can affect the way they vote and the degree to which the policy apparatus can respond with responsible solutions. Let's not miss that part as we think about how fast AI is penetrating our economy and how workers will vote in response, and whether our institutions can respond, therefore, with enlightened ideas. And the last point is to Dia's intervention. Ultimately, this will be more than the CTO's responsibility or even the CEO's responsibility in terms of how we think about integrating AI into our organizations and society. It will go to profound questions about our role as humans and what we need as members of a society that includes AI, possibly even as citizens. To Valeria's point, will AI have rights? Which will be triumphant, the efficiency of the AI or the human values? And therefore, we need to articulate those up front. What do we believe in? What kind of society do we want to be part of? And how do we want to use AI to create that future? I think we need to be articulate about that up front, even at the risk of being philosophical, because AI won't be. It will respond to our behaviors, learn from our behaviors, and optimize based on instructions we offer. If we're not intentional, we will be spectators in a future that we could have created with more care. I'll leave it there. Thanks for the chance to speak with you, and great to be part of this group.
Darius, I love your comments. I don't know if you were the one that put in the chat. I just saw it scrolling by at one point about the intentionality. It's a word that I use often when I talk to companies and talk about this particular topic, especially when organizations are starting to embrace AI or think about using it in their organizations. I think the ideal thing would be that we get to be in the front of the conversation, right, at the beginning, so that they could be very intentional and measured about making those kinds of declarations or decisions in the beginning, even as each organization or institution is building and thinking about AI. I think the hard part for us now is that the train has left the station in some ways, and we're trying to now and I'm going to say slow things down. And I'm not saying that in the context of like what we've heard publicly, because I know that we're going to continue advancing and there's great reason to. Like we're seeing things happen in healthcare and others where we want to be able to benefit from the technology. But we do want to slow things down a little bit enough so that we can give some thought and intentionality to what matters to us and to re-emphasize human value so that that remains center as we build.
Thank you. Intentionality, word of the day. All right. Tulio, you have your hand raised.
Thanks. It's a pleasure to be here. Just wanted to add to this topic a little bit as a design thinking practitioner and an advisor to the University of California program and co-founder of radicalpurpose.org. One of the things that I've come to appreciate is the importance of empathy in everything that we do. It's become my life's mission to develop EQ-centered leaders that are more empathetic. And if you look at our history, either you've sought for connection, which is what brings us together, or dominance, which is what separates us. That has been our history for thousands of years. And if you look at our needs, our human needs, we all desire to be part of something greater than ourselves, which is why religion, politics is so big. We all desire to have meaning behind what we do. And we want to make an impact, and we want to be becoming. Those are the 4 tenets that we need as humans. So we can either design AI to enhance our ability to achieve those tenets and create connection and enhance even empathy, or we can design it to foster dominance and separation. And that's the key thing here. If we want to be conscious about the deployment of AI, it can do a lot of good. I've been testing it in terms of how you can actually spread more empathy and how you can design and level up EQ skills, even amongst leaders. And it's very effective at it, even though it's not sentient, it can be very effective in providing guidance. So it really comes down to this group and people like this to make sure that we're pushing the connection agenda, because that's the only thing that's going to keep us in a place of meeting our needs. If we don't, then it can take us down a path, as already mentioned, where we are spectators and worse, victims of our own poor doing.
And I just want to add on something, Tule. It's a really interesting question when you bring empathy and emotions to AI. But we also have to understand that the emotions, set of emotions of a human being, it's also include anger, frustration, and negative emotions. So if we want to try to teach AI empathy, AI will also learn the other side of emotion as well, like love. For example, if you take example of love, mother's love got anger and frustration as well. So in order to comprehend the emotion aspect of love and empathy, there are negative emotions that also need to be learned. And that's, once again, we'll bring an example, AI will learn from us. And if we have the good citizen and the bad citizen, it will completely replicate. So that's aspect of empathy requires a deeper discussions, but overall emotions as well. We want AI to be emotional, but we have to be quite careful because human beings have got 18 sets of emotions and half of them are negative.
Right. Well, that's the lack of emotional intelligence when you give into those negative emotions, right? So AI can be, it can learn the value of EQ on how to manage those.
It can also indicate us where we have to be maybe more kinder or nicer. That would be nice, of course. But right. On a matter of scheme, on a regular, it's in a general philosophical discussions, we can talk about empathy and kindness. But when we go in the real world, it's not that easy to see.
Yeah, we can train AI to train us how to improve our emotional intelligence.
That would be good. Yeah.
I've actually tested it does work very effectively if you're open to it. And again, it comes down to whether whether you want a connection or you want dominance, and that's the human problem, right? Which of
That's the
these
human
three
problem.
tracks are
Another
we
problem
interested
that humans have, they like everything that is likable for them. They live on the Omni AI, right? We live in the information that is filtered for our requirements and settings, right? We don't like opposite opinions. Not all of us, we're all biased, right? Not all of us are open to something that we don't like. And it's really difficult. And that's what media and the internet is doing quite well. They're filtering the information for our needs. They're keeping us in our own environment. And we can't do anything about it. It's really difficult for us to do anything about it if we don't know that we live in a bubble.
It helps our
You
sense of
dig into it,
belonging.
comes down to two simple things: desire for connection or dominance. That's it. It's very simple. If you desire connection, then you understand and you accept people and you let people speak. If you want dominance, then everything's going to bother you.
But getting
We
connected
could
is
talk
very
about
hard,
this
I
all
know that.
day, but
We could,
at the end of the
yeah.
day, if we
Yeah.
focus on connection, we're going to do a good job with this.
But there is a good point in there that you do, in order for the model to learn, it needs to know both sides. There was something I was listening to the other day, that there's no such thing as cold unless you have heat. So cold is the absence of heat. So that goes right back to the love and hate discussion. So we do have a few more raised hands. So I think Ganesh, you had your hand raised and then you lowered it. Do you?
Yeah, I did. Thank you so much for that.
Sorry,
So,
remind
I do
everyone
agree.
quick, because I also want to respect everyone's time. And
Absolutely,
yeah.
I'll keep it very short. I do agree. We need to train the AI with both emotions. So what is good and what is wrong? So in case if some humans or people, ask questions not in a polite manner, then it needs to know this is not polite, right? And respond back in a polite manner. And the second one is quickly about the policies, the procedures and standards. That has to be deployed at a large level, at a government level, as well as at an enterprise level, even at a lower level. These two things, it's a part of an enforcement that's going to help us, streamline with any technology. It is going to streamline to make it beneficial for the society. Thank you.
All right, we are over time, but let's do.
Let me just say something real quick.
demo.
Just real quick.
Okay.
Yeah. Hey, I just want to say to all the panelists and everyone and the host, thank you so much for hosting this. You guys have done a phenomenal job. And I just thought everyone should take a moment to just say thank you and celebrate this exceptional panel that we had today. Thank you all. And again, I got to drop, but phenomenal session. Thank you all. Have a phenomenal day. Take care. Peace.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we have one more. Nope. All the hands are down. All right. So why don't we close then? We are over time anyway. This was a phenomenal discussion, and I think we opened up a huge can of worms at the very end there. But it's a discussion that needs to be had, and this is the right group to have it. So thank you, everyone, and have a good rest of your day.
Thanks for
Thank you.
joining us.
Thank you. You will
Thanks for
receive
having
a
us.
future invitation for continue the conversation. Just to continue joining the conversation, and a lot of which remain, which we have not discussed. And I'm pretty sure that you have opportunity to continue this conversation in the next roundtable. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye all.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye.
Thank you.